we're in Marin Valley where Robin Williams lived, and he was such a hero for depression in that he gave it a voice, because when he died, and his way of death was a symptom of depression and not being able to say out loud, I'm suffering. So there's something to be said about taking the stigma off depression first. I'll tell you how to get out of it. But the first step into being authentic is, yes, I have this beige feeling, or I wake up in the morning, I'm not excited, or I don't feel really good about myself, or I don't feel really motivated, or I feel like I'm dragging my heels, or I'm faking it. That's a big variable. Those are all symptoms of depression, which is simply pushing down energy that isn't free to come out with uninhibited childlike energy. The opposite of depression is a child who's jumping up and down, who can't wait to get up. Every day is Christmas. They're so excited. They're so enthusiastic. That's the opposite of depression. But the direct experience, oh my God, it's getting so nice and warm. The direct experience of depression, oh baby, is not feeling motivated and feeling sad or scared that your value in the world is somehow not being appreciated. So if that's one of the feelings you have, I'm reading what you guys are writing, the opposite of depression is Sagittarius. Malika. Yeah, that's such a great way to put it. Thank you for everything you do in this community. I lived with depression so much of my life, and it only left when I passed 50. Way past 50, to tell the truth. And I was too embarrassed to tell people because I felt like it was the stigma. And then I realized the two words that no one talks about is loneliness, which is a universal feeling that so many people feel, even when they're married, and even when they have children, and even when they're in the middle of their family, people suffer from loneliness. And then the other word is depression. And both those words are acceptable to me. This is the role of astrology. Why you're all here today is because you are fascinated by the stars, which gives meaning. And as soon as there's meaning, so to Malika's point, Sagittarius is the opposite of depression, because as soon as Sagittarius comes up with, I'm so excited, oh my God, I'm learning so many lessons, this life is so interesting, I've got karma to clear up, and I've got past lives that are contributing to this one, and I'm so interested, all of that just ignites excitement. And I remember when I first woke up at the age of 16, when I went to the dentist. Some of you have heard the story. I went to the dentist and I had nitrous oxide. And in the experience of nitrous oxide, I came out of my body and I looked back down. And after the whole experience, the next day, I couldn't sleep and I couldn't eat because I was so excited at the possibility of a spiritual premise that said, this is very Sagittarius, that said, this is one lifetime of many. You are just playing out a character. You're not stuck by any means in that story. You don't have to worry that you're going to be this way the rest of your incarnations or even the rest of this lifetime. Free yourself up. I had this liberating realization under the influence of nitrous oxide that my life was not as serious as I thought. The opposite of depression is levity, that it's not as bad as you think. Now, yes, I'm a Sag and it doesn't help. Not every Sag is exercising their free will button to be enjoyed. And if you're a Sag and your Mercury is in Scorpio, here's what you learn in astrology. Let's say you are a Sag and you're supposed to be happy, but you have four, like the last client I just talked to, but you have 4 planets in Scorpio, and this full moon in Scorpio is describing this right now for us. This full moon in Scorpio is asking all of us this question. What is your relationship with the deep, dark side of human? Are you capable of doing relationship with Venus retrograde and Scorpio here? Can I embody genuine connectedness, relationship, Scorpio, sexuality, intimacy, without pushing it away or being scared? And that's where depression is. The medicine of depression is connection. Here's the short answer of what to do to get out of it. 1, talk about it. Now, you can't go on and on and on about it because it becomes contagious and everybody gets depressed, but you can say to somebody, be it a therapist or your best friend or your mother or your husband or your friend, that you can say to someone, I, the fruitful darkness. Exactly. Thank you. That's Trevor's translation of his depression. Trevor Hall. For anyone in this circle right now, write down Trevor Hall's name and write down the, how does it go? My healing is very slow. What's the name of that song? You guys are going to tell me. You can't rush your healing. You must accept the quality of depression is the side effect of pushing energy down. Let's start there. So as soon as I pick my energy up, as soon as I wake up in the morning and I bump into depression, I'm like, excuse me, I'm going to go do yoga. I'm going to do my meditation. I'm going to listen to a webinar. I'm going to go talk to somebody. You have the means to get out of depression and loneliness every single day. Doesn't mean it's not going to follow you around. Doesn't mean it's not going to show up again a few minutes later. Doesn't mean that you're free because you've done therapy. Quite the opposite. It just means you've got the muscle to lift the depression up. And being an old soul, being in a body, being human, being sad, being single, being at the end of a relationship, all those things contribute to depression. So let's be really clear. Depression comes with gravity. Gravity comes with the human experience. There's no way that anyone is not going to touch gravity and or depression at some point. No one's happy all the time. Impossible. So I love therapy when I am in one of those phases where I've been. I mean, I remember going to see a therapist. You're going to love this, because I'm a therapist. And I said to her, you've got to listen to me. Your style's not working. I have to complain for a little while. Don't make me go spiritual so fast. Don't lift me up and out of my pain without first giving it to me. So the shortcut out of depression is to go straight into it. I'm sad. I'm scared. I'm lonely. I feel disempowered. I feel this dark, heavy feeling. What did she say? I to you is a kind of therapy, listening to you. Are there ways to figure out why we get depressed? The root? You know, in astrology, some of you have very strong water in your chart. This is classical for Cancer, Pisces, and Scorpio. If you look at your chart and you see 4th, 8th, or 12th house strong, you'll have depression. The houses contribute to depression. The elements contribute to depression. And then, so if you've got lots of water in your chart, and then if there's a big hard aspect to your moon, where your emotional body cannot be resilient, your emotional body succumbs to gravity, then you're vulnerable. If you've got a lot of Scorpio in your chart, if you have a lot of Cancer in your chart, these are a susceptibility to the human condition, which is by virtue of its existence, at times it's heavy. Why can't we take the stigma out of that? I'm going to suggest you to get my book, The Missing Element. You can just write it down. You guys, you can go on my website and I'll send you my book. I'll sign it for you. I'll send you your chart and you will find out what is your contribution to changing depression. Is it water? Do you need to sit in stillness and get comfortable? Is it air? You need to talk to somebody? Is it earth? You need to go get your money thing situated because it's driving you crazy and making you depressed? Is it fire? You got to go exercise and get excited. Which one is it for you? You'll find that out in the book, The Missing Element, and then you go grow that missing element. Okay. Is there going to be a replay of this? I'm missing half of what you say. It keeps going silent. Am I moving too much?
It's not going silent for me, but yes, there will be a replay.
Okay, we all can hear, said Ash Reed. Ash Reed, I was just looking at your chart today. What a cool chart you have. We were getting ready for level 2 and I have to look at everybody's chart. Okay, the short answer is depression is a teacher. It slows us down. It takes us in. And when we slow down and we go in, we start asking the hard questions that astrology answer, which is why am I here? And what is this about? And what can I do to make a difference? And how do I contribute? And oh my God, it gets so exciting. I'm so excited. What took away my depression was the fulfillment of my school. You guys did it. You did it. You helped me. I want to help you. How can I help you? By teaching you astrology, giving you the book, The Missing Element, reminding you that this game called life is so weird, but don't feel bad. We're all in it together. It's a lifetime. I want you all out of depression. I want to start the day-to-day with you when you're not depression. Can you figure it out on your own? I don't think so, Helen. I don't think you can figure it out on your own. I don't think you can get out of depression by yourself. A daily mantra.
wake up in the morning. Here's what I did for years. Trevor Hall, before I met Trevor Hall, I was listening to his music every day. So I need to book a chart ready ASAP. How do you help a friend that tells you they are depressed? Now, that's a really good question, Christine. If someone stays in depression, if they live there, if they're not doing their work to get out of it, then we have a problem. Can someone else be the source of your depression, or is it only an internal source? It's an internal, great question. It's an internal source. That's it, Donna. You can say someone is contagious for sure. There are definitely, I want to just speak to that. Let's talk about that. I went and stayed at a friend's house that I knew from when I was a kid, from when I was in elementary school. And so I just decided to go visit her. And then when I left her house, I was so depressed. And I realized that her energy was contagious and I'd absorbed it, that I'd taken it on. Thank you. That's the truth. It's hard to talk to friends when you are deep into it. It's true. Trudy Muffin. I just saw your chart today, Trudy. It's hard. First of all, here's the deal. You must, this is one of you're going to love this story. You guys are going to love this. The old Jewish rabbis of ancient times, because you know how Jews go, oi, and they're always kind of like, they're like they whine and there's a heaviness that comes to them. So the wise old Jewish men and women said that you must spend 1 hour a day miserable, crying, wailing, being sad, and then the other 13, 15 hours that you're awake, your job is to be happy. So you let there be depression, but if it follows you around all day and you're talking about it all day, that's where you got to stop. So it goes like this. Either you're not telling anybody, it's staying with you, it's suspending or sustaining your loneliness, your isolation, or you're denying it. So either you're in it all day, it stays around you, it's like sticky paper, and you're feeling depressed and you can't get out of it and you never think you will, and you'll be depressed for the rest of your life. And I understand that feeling. Or you're pretending it's not true, you're stepping over it, and the consequences, you're eating too much, you've got some secret addiction, and what you really are is depressed, but you can't name it. That's why you're drinking. That's why you're eating. That's why you're spending. So what they said, the Jews said, was spend an hour in a day and let yourself really be sad. The state of affairs is enough. All I have to do for 5 minutes is think about the refugees, and I'm depressed. Or like last night, I went to a lecture about plastics in the world and how it's gotten so out of hand. There is so much consumption of plastics. It's so depressing. But the good news was this guy lifted it up and he told us what to do about it. We're going to start getting these all across different American cities. There's going to be plastic. And in Europe, they already do this. There's going to be plastic containers that you take to the store, that you leave it there after you use it, and they replenish it. And it doesn't become throwaway stuff anymore. So depression is one thing. Boredom is a symptom of someone who's not doing their work. There's no reason to be bored. That is 100% you not asking the hard questions. And here's the question you got to write down. What am I supposed to be learning? That is the shortcut. There's 400 people in this room. If you all ask the question, what am I supposed to be learning? So at my deepest, darkest, what was going on in my chart, my progressed moon contributes to depression. Well, my progressed moon was in Scorpio, and I took a deep dive, and you learn that in level 2. Then what I learned during my depression was, I had a whole year of being depressed. Oh my God, that was horrible. Oh my God. So what did I do? I went to a therapist. That's the one I gave instructions to. And I started off by saying to her, I don't know what's going on. Astrologically, I can explain it, but I can't get out of it. And I don't want you to talk me out of this. I don't want you to tell me, think positive, wake up every morning and say, I love life. I want to be able to release the toxicity that's living inside of me. I need to get this off of me. I had absorbed so many people's energy as being a healer. I had taken on so much. Malika. So Malika, you are so funny. So once I realized that I was depressed, and I could say it out loud to the therapist, and I didn't want to fix it fast, But this is the difference, and that's really important. Some of you live in depression. I know these people, they're close to me. You sit next to them, you're like, oh no, oh no, oh no. It's one of those heavy days. That's a different conversation. You may need meds, and meds are real. And astrologically, if you have a badly aspected moon, or you have a really difficult relationship with Pluto in your sun, or Pluto in your moon, or Pluto is taking you down, then you must be able to say, it's so important. If you know depression is sticking around like glue, go get help. Get some medicine to get your serotonin levels up. If it's a short visit, like for me, it was a year of that progressed moon in Scorpio, oh my God, then I went to therapy and I unpacked what was the source of it. If you know it's situational, that's another doorway. So one is chemical, one is a window of time, a cycle. One is situational. Someone just died. Someone distinguished that. There's grief. And then there's, listen to this. Now she has a 15-year-old daughter dealing with 2.5 years now, medicated, but lowest doses because she can't take antidepressants. Well, wildly powerful. There's, shaka mushrooms, CHAKA, highest amount of melatonin, which produces serotonin. You guys, CBD oil really can help. There's Tori. Morgan and I have progressed moon in Scorpio. Yikes. Now, for some people, their progressed moon in Scorpio is delightful. Don't assume everyone's going to get depressed just because the moon's in Scorpio. Situational depression definitely affects your physiology. Of course it does. So your husband died or your child died. Of course you're depressed. My aunt, who I adore, she's 80. I can't believe she's 80. Her husband of 65 years, she was with him, he died. She can't get out of the depression. And I'm not there to get her out of it. You just say to someone, you're depressed. I want to acknowledge it, but let's go out for lunch today and see if I can make you laugh. There's everything from CBD oil to, I call THC, the happy compound. I made it up, THC. Taking that in small doses with someone helping you, taking an antidepressant in small doses and working your way up with it. Can situational depression that lasts over a year? Absolutely, Sandra. Absolutely. Pluto squares my sun, my moon in the first house. Yes, the moon cycles will affect you. St. John's wort really does help. So here's the thing to do. Start with a prayer. Okay, back up. Start with honesty. I deal with depression. It's my friend. Someone said it earlier. I learned so much from anxiety and depression. Change the narrative. Don't deny it, but turn it into a positive reframe. I have depression. It follows me around. It's become my friend. And here's the question you all should have written down, all 400 of you. What am I learning? What am I learning from this exercise? So I learned that my relationship with life had to change. I had to stop complaining, stop thinking about the planet I came from and wanting to get out of this, to start using the astrology. And I learned specifically for me, just like I did when I worked with Madonna, who suffered from depression, hello, we're not alone, that she had to exercise every day if she didn't want to get depressed. When she told me that, I was like, me too. And that's public. I'm not disclosing anything that was confidential. So it could be exercise. It could be St. John's wort. It could be CBD oil. It could be THC. It could be melatonin. It could be taking high doses of antidepressants like Wellbutrin or Prozac, or there's a million of them. But let's not make let's not shame the truth that gravity is not in our favor. Look at my face. Look at my boobs. It's all going down. Okay, so all of you listening, there is a book called The Missing Element. It is one of the quickest ways that helped me out. As soon as I realized that my strongest suit was fire, but I had denied it, like this happened to Misty, one of our girls on the team, and I started exercising, and then I realized, oh, exercise is exorcism. It exercises the dark gremlins who stick themselves on me because I've got cancer in my midheaven. Anxiety, depression is a low-grade gravitational pull on your system that has you walking slowly through life. It has you not motivated. It has you feeling like this isn't meaningful. You're not doing enough. It's got a lot of trap doors that are specifically reoccurring every day. Anxiety is far more intense, and it occurs as a result of holding energy back. So they're definitely cousins, but the anxiety is situational, where you start to feel like you're losing your breath, or you start to feel like you're not safe, or you start to feel like you're self-conscious and nobody likes you. That's different than depression. Depression is like a secret. It's a low-grade secret that harbors in the back of your door, that sits in a very old rocking chair and just makes you feel like, I'm not motivated. Anxiety is a super high charged Aquarius, Virgo, Gemini, Pisces. It's like things aren't feeling comfortable. I don't feel like I'm comfortable. It's a situational, intensely current. It's not a low grade. Anxiety is, if you start tracking your anxiety, you'll notice that small instances trigger it. And yes, and that's what happens to, after you have enough anxiety, it becomes depressing because you're fighting with an invisible feeling that has no content to it, that is keeping you constantly feeling like something's wrong. That's what anxiety is. Something's wrong. And they travel together, Michelle, they're cousins, and they are separate. You can be very anxious without being depressed. And you can be very depressed without feeling anxious. But together as a combo, yes, it's a perfect formula for misery. Water person, it's very obvious. They are, there was somebody just said it, Crystal, so well, extreme loneliness, not feeling like connected. So depression for a water person is isolation and lack of motivation and feeling very disconnected from energy, not feeling energized. Depression for an air person is talking too much, constantly talking. That's one of the clues of a depressed personality type. They're constantly talking because if they get stopped and they go in, they're like, oh my God, I'm feeling so scared and so sad. So, and the other thing for air people, depressed air people, is they get overly socialized. They start to go to all these parties and they start to talk to everybody. They're on their phone all the time and they can't stand being alone. The opposite of depression for water. These people, when an air person is anxious, or sorry, depressed, they will overextend with people and do it in a very superficial way. An earth person depressed is working even more. They work harder and they never feel satisfied. It's a distinct dissatisfaction. Sarah Fruman, you can be air in your next life, put the order in early. An earth person's depression is burdened by money and work, and they're not staying home, but they don't stop working and they don't know how to relax, and they're depressed because if they stopped working, they'd realize that they weren't happy, but they keep working to push, and that's a depressed earth person. And if you're a fire person and you're depressed, you've gained a lot of weight and you've got a bad temper and you're just mad all the time. That's a depressed fire person. It's not joy, it's pissed off and it's angry, it's edgy. The thing about depression, the reason why I speak about it, Nikki, with such conviction is, honestly, I think any old soul who is honest has to go through the doorway of depression. Has to. Come on. How does any soul who has compassion not feel depressed about refugee? If I say refugee and you don't get sad, and if I say refugee for the next half an hour and we delved into what's going on at the borders and you don't feel sad, you aren't alive and you shouldn't be in this room. So when my Saturn return happened in 2015 at Christmas time, which is crazy that it was 3 years ago because it feels like half an hour ago, I remember doing these. I remember, Carrie, were you working for me then? Yes.
Yeah.
I was so depressed that one of my friends who I adore, Bonnie Worth, she's a medium. If any of you want to know about mediumship, she teaches it. She was doing an interview with me and she called, Sarah was my assistant at the time. And she said, what is wrong with Debra? I was so depressed. I didn't tell anybody, but she could tell because she's a psychic and a medium. Because depression is just like, oh God, Saturn return. It smacked me over the head. It came out, it didn't last very long. The medium's name is Bonnie Worth, W-I-R-T-H. Can a daily intake of alcohol be a symptom of depression? Oh my God, alcohol creates depression. So let's talk about that. There's some value of alcohol. It can really help. It's called spirits. And then there's some downside of alcohol where it takes you down. That's the distinction of not having low-grade depression. So this is the difference. Depression is never goes away. You wake up in the morning with it. You have to pull yourself out of bed and you do your practices, which is putting on music, lighting a candle, doing incense, making sure you've got someone that you look to. It could be a spiritual picture. It could be a guru. It could be your dog. Dogs are the best thing for depression, the poor things.